Our planet is a shelter for all of us. By helping preserve the environment, we can make life suitable for every human being. The future of the poor will depend upon the actions of each of us. By making a change and getting involved, you can make a difference. The population of the planet is almost 8 billion people, half of which, 4 billion, think that environment is something that can be sacrificed now and restored later when people are richer. Environment is linked to poverty, and while conserving natural resources, we can reduce poverty. Americans tend to give environmental concerns a higher priority only when the economy is doing well.
The place is China. Seems that Mao Zedong, before his death in 1976, decided that a plague of sparrows was putting a large dent in grain production. So in the kind of short-sighted, ill-conceived wisdom that's apparently shared by Chinese dictators and American corporate agricultural CEOs, Mao called for the elimination of sparrows. The killing of the sparrows released a swarm of insects, a problem that affected agriculture much more than the damage done by the birds. So massive spraying programs were instituted. The spraying not only killed harmful insects, it killed beneficial ones as well, including pollinators. Without bees, Chinese crops blossomed, but didn't produce. Are we humans making ourselves vulnerable by continuing to use pesticides, herbicides, and other harmful chemicals in amounts that can't even be measured? Are the rises in certain cancers, endocrine diseases, asthma and allergies, brain function disorders, birth defects, and fertility problems linked to agricultural chemicals? There's no evidence to show those who profit from their use, but on the other side of the coin is a warning. There's no proof that they don't. We know that many of these products cause cancers, endocrine, and reproductive problems, and other troubles for lab animals. What are the unintended consequences of their use on humans? And if we know beyond a suspicion that lawn sprays and agricultural chemicals can do harm, are those consequences still in it?
If soil quality is poor, it will need pesticides. In a moment a rainfall occurs, soil would be carried away and pesticides will run out of the fields and possibly will contaminate drinking water and disrupt the environment. There are a couple of ways to stop that. States can implement anti-poverty programs to help low-income families who own a piece of land. States can offer free workshops, free coaching of how to set up plantation for natural-grown commodities, and also to offer to subsidize partially or fully those who are willing to change their life, to get out of poverty, and to help the environment. Let's say, in state of Utah, if a poor family owns 10 acres, they can sow 150,000 sweet corn stalks. The seeds for that amount would cost roughly $1,200. Corn doesn't need much water, and that is the reason it's one of the main growing crops in state of Utah. Out of 10 acres, the family would make $9,000 after all the expenses. States spend almost between 15 and 14,000 in 2004 for each person living in poverty. Instead of that, it will cost states less money to subsidize those who are poor or coming from low-income families and have a land and liability to work but don't have the financial opportunity. Investments in agriculture, such as the use of hybrids, agroforestry systems, or fertilizers, have been effective in reducing poverty. The World Conservation Union gathers together 110 government agencies, all states, and thousands of scientists to encourage and help societies around the globe to conserve the nature and to ensure that every natural resource that is used is equitable and ecologically sustainable. applying ecological knowledge to the relationship between biodiversity and productivity, species interactions, soil fertility, pollination, and pest and disease control can greatly increase productivity in poor areas while conserving the resource base upon which agriculture depends. The change can start from each of us by demanding only natural-grown products. Everyday consumer behavior seems to have grown increasingly environmentally unfriendly. Americans purchase less and less natural products with every year. Some of the ways that we can contribute in preserving the ecosystem and help local farms is by purchasing only natural-grown products. What farmers can do to help the environment is to use less energy and also less water for the crops, which in state of Utah is the reason why corn is the main crop grown there, because it doesn't need much of a water. In case of planting, states can give credit to farmers for using bioproducts and also to buyers if they purchase natural grown products. Domestic honeybees are a critical part of the global ecosystem and of the agriculture in particular, because they pollinate up to 1/3 of all crops that contribute to food production. Honeybees can help in cornfields to pollinate the crops, but also they're another source of income, for which there are many grants as the following: Farmers Market Grant, Rural Business Opportunity Grant, Conservation Innovation Grant, Rural Enterprise Grant. State of Utah offers minimum of $5,000 for Conservation Innovation Grant. That is up to 6 years grant for honeybees. With this money, a low-income rural family owning land can start a profitable business and sell not only their production of honey to farmer markets, but they can offer other plantation owners to rent them the bees out for pollination. Utah State can combine both agriculture and apiculture subsidized to make one grant for low-income landowners by giving them $10,000 starting capital and teaching them the process of maize cultivation and caring about bees. This way the state economy will progress as well. They will keep the difference from $14,227 paying a poor individual, and also for the next year this individual would not be on the poverty list and would also take out its spouse, which will now count 2 less people the state would support. And this would help the ecosystem as well by not using pesticides and contaminating our soil and water. Will preserve the environment from being destroyed more. Helping the poor is helping the environment.